Oops. Okay, here we go. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Town Hall presented by the Black Leadership Advisory Council. We serve at the pleasure of the governor of the state of Michigan. My name is Sophia Chu, and I am the chair for the African Diaspora Committee. Today, our program is around creating legacy through community service, and we're celebrating welcoming stories of Black immigrants from the African diaspora that actually live in the state. Our guest speakers, I'm going to allow them to introduce themselves and tell you a little bit about themselves, but I want to now just kind of do a brief overview. So we have Mamba Hamissi. If I am butchering your name, I'm Jamaican. Please see with me. Just correct it when you get your turn. He is the owner of Baobab Fare and the Waka food truck. We also have a Fanta Jatta, who is the owner of a local retail store clothing business and an oiler for the African Bureau of Immigration and Social Affairs. And then we have Gracie Xavier, a multifaceted professional with a passion for economic development, social entrepreneurship, and the arts. So first, we're going to start out with Mamba. First, correct your name if I did it wrong, and I promise you I'll try better next time. I want you to tell us about your place of birth and some fun facts about it.
Thank you so much, Sophia, for having me. My name is Mamba Hamissi. I was born and raised in Burundi, the Bujumbura. Something I can say about Burundi is the best coffee in the world is coming from Burundi. The best dance drummers are coming from Burundi. So yeah, that's all.
But they said the best coffee comes from Jamaica, so I'm gonna have to taste test yours and put it up against it and see how that lays out, right?
You can't even start that.
We're gonna take Gracie next. You're muted, Gracie.
You would think after 5 years in COVID, I would get this right, but hey, I'm a work in progress. My name is Gracie Xavier. Thank you for having me, Sophia and team. I am Gracie Xavier. I was born in Haiti and I came to the US a long time ago. Not going to age myself. What would I say about Haiti? I think we have a rich history and culture, marred sometimes with challenges, but our culture is unmatched, from our language to our dance to the arts and everything else. So that's
No
all.
coffee?
I'm going to let Mamba have that one because we have everything else.
Oh, wow. I like the way you put that one. Thank you, Gracie. So I'm going to now ask that same question to Fanta.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. My name is Fanta, and I originate from the Gambia in West Africa, smallest African country on mainland Africa, and we have everything. I can't claim coffee, but we are the smiling coast for a reason, so we stay smiling, okay? And let's see. Did you say one fun fact about you?
I just said some fun facts
Some
about
fun
your
fact.
country of
Oh,
origin.
well, yeah, that's a fun fact. We just love smiling, so we call ourselves the smiling coast of Africa. And it kind of does look like we're like a smile if you look on the map. There's like a little head over there, and we're the mouth. So kind of works out. But yeah,
I'm gonna have to look that up. I should have brought that
yeah.
up on the screen. That's
Stack
okay.
up Gambia and Smiling Coast.
So I'm gonna switch it up a minute. I'm gonna go to Gracie because I know a little bit about Gracie's story, but I wanted everybody else to hear it. How did you get to Michigan? When did you get to Michigan, and why did you decide to stay?
So I tell everyone that I was a creative nomad, and an opportunity came to move to Michigan after grad school. And so I moved here, part of the Detroit Revitalization Fellows Program, which was a mid-career fellowship that had folks in economic development partnered with different organizations in the city. And so I came and partnered with Global Detroit. And I've lived in different places in the United States. And so I never thought I would stay in Detroit for as long as I did. And like today, I wrote that I didn't know coming to Michigan that I was going to put down roots. But it definitely grew on me. I love the work that I do, and the opportunities that presented itself to me came into perfect alignment with my experience, my personal life journey, and what I want to, my own legacy of leaving in the world. So I think that propelled me to stay here. And 10 years later, this year actually is celebrating 10 years being in Michigan, in Detroit in particular. And I think I found definitely alignment with what I do for the community and what I personally support. And that is making space for people like me to be able to have the opportunity to connect to resources to thrive. So since, hey, I tell people I go where I'm welcome and I'm wanted, and I feel very welcome and wanted here in Detroit.
Thank you, Gracie. Fanta, you're up next.
So I made my way here in 2008 when Obama became president. It was a very historic moment in time. And as a teenager, I was just very excited about the idea of visiting a different continent and, getting in the airplane. I did not know I was coming here to stay. So I thought I was just coming here for vacation because my father lives here and he's here to work and make money so we can, have a better life. So I came in Michigan in 2008, stayed in Southfield. So Southfield is home to me. That's where I knew, that's where I grew up and went to school. Fast forward now, I've spent more time in the US than I have in Gambia. And I know more about Detroit and Michigan than I do Gambia right now. And Michigan has always been very welcoming. Like I said, coming into Southfield, it didn't feel strange. It was a lot of Africans where I lived. And the school I went to, which is no longer a high school anymore, was predominantly a Black student. It was 75% of us were African American or Africans. It was very welcoming. We had ESL classes. We had teachers that looked like us and understood also because they traveled. So they understood the importance of making sure that our cultures are respected. So because of that, I really have not had any type of urge or need to want to leave anywhere else besides Michigan, honestly. And I moved into the city of Detroit 3 years ago because a lot of my work in community organizing and advocacy work was based in Detroit. So traveling from Wixom, Novi to Detroit every day was becoming a hassle. So I decided to take a plunge and stay in Detroit. And honestly, it's been great. It's been great. And I am so happy that I am now able to call myself a business owner in the city of Detroit. I wear that badge of honor, honestly, because Detroit has provided me with so much more opportunities.
Okay, thank you. Mamba?
Sorry. Yeah, for me, it was not a choice, honestly, because when Nadia came, we tried to, the plan was to go to Canada. That was the plan. That's the only thing that we knew at that time. So, but Canada has, at that time, closed the borders for refugees. So we stayed here. We have to stay here. She has to stay here. And the only why she stays here because of Freedom House. And that's the only shelter in the country that's, I don't know if it's still the same, but at that time it was the only shelter in the country where you could have the legal support, shelter, and everything that you need to start life. And yeah, when I came to Detroit, my whole goal, I didn't know anything about Detroit except the bankruptcy and the Flint. That's the only thing I knew about Michigan, actually, because that's what you read or you hear from the news. I got here in November the weather was horrible. I didn't like it. I was like, as soon as summer is coming, as soon as we get asylum, we have to move. And then after that time, so after that was winter time, and then I really love spring. I love summer. I was like, oh yeah, I love here. It's okay. I can survive this. And then after getting asylum, I was like, yeah, you can go somewhere else. This is great. We love it. We already have a family here. People are amazing. There was also opportunities for business. The ecosystem was growing at that time in Detroit, pushing people to open businesses. I was like, I could see myself, I could see a lot of opportunities in Detroit, and then decided to stay.
Fantastic. Good. So, Mamba, you hit a little bit on it. Is life in Michigan what you expected? Us that are immigrants, when we heard about Michigan and heard about Detroit in particular, they didn't have really good things to say about Detroit in particular, but the state of Michigan. Is this what you expected?
No, not at all. And then that's one of the things that I always tell people. I feel like the state of Michigan should do more, better to market themselves out of the United States, even Detroit, right? As when you live here, so you see how much we have here, how much we can sell or we can market, but the marketing is not the best compared to other cities. And then, so as you know, after being as an asylee, you start life from scratch, start life from zero. So you don't have a credit score, you don't have your insurance is 3 times more than anybody. Everything is so hard. And then living in a city or in a state like Michigan, it's so easy to start life because life is not that expensive compared to other states.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's why it's easy to start a new life here in Michigan.
Okay. Gracie, is this what you expected? Yeah, there we go.
You know what? I had no expectations. And I will say this because I literally took a chance. And I am that way. I have packed my bags and moved to cities on vacation and just stayed. So for me, I had no expectation of the city because I was moving here for a work, right? So and then I lived in so many other cities in the US prior to that. So I've learned through those experiences to don't judge a book by its PR, so to speak, good or bad, because when I know what they say about Miami, I know what they say about Haiti, I know what they say about Baltimore, I know what they say about New York. So I knew you have to give a place a chance before you come to a conclusion, because the PR, like Mamba said, the PR may be bad, but it doesn't necessarily mean that in actuality those things exist, or if they exist, it's one of a million plethora of perspective from this place. So it's still give it a chance. And so I remember coming to Detroit before I even moved here, and I had the opportunity to stay near the Boulevard and near Motown, and then I had a great, host to tell me a little bit of the history of the city and learned about Ford and all of these, because I really was an East Coaster, very Haitian in my perspective of the United States. So there's a lot of history here that I wasn't aware of. So when I got here, the first thing I said, please don't laugh at me, y'all, but I was like, oh my God, this is the American voice. Because it didn't sound like the South. I finally discovered where the American voice came from. It's in the Midwest, right? And then you learn of this rich history. And I was, oh my God, how underestimated are Midwest cities like Detroit and these other St. Louis and other places. So and I'm an artist. So I think it just aligned the culture, the art, the history, the underdog, because I think I'm one of those people underestimate and then boom, and then you show them. And I feel like that's the thing I felt the most about Detroit. So the weather, of course, for any Caribbean person is still shock 10 years later. It's very bipolar. But as far as that rich history, the culture, I think I'm Haitian, so our history is always put in a bad light. The first thing people will say is we're the poorest country in the Western Hemisphere. They won't start that we're the first free republic, So I've learned to give cities and places a chance, and I'm glad that I did, because 10 years later, I'm still here.
Good. Fanta, is this what you expected? I know you were coming here on vacation and they got you and kept you here, but is this what you expected from Michigan?
Honestly, no. No expectations at 15. I mean, I really had no idea what is to come, what the future looked like. I think for me, it just became home. Michigan just became home. Southfield became home. One thing I constantly complained about, though, even at that age, I always tell my father, I'm like, why Michigan? Why this freezing cold? So I remember my first winter, it was so much snow. We had snow up to like our knees, and the school buses, nothing, like everything was shut down. No school for 3 days. And I was like, and who choose to bring us in this kind of weather? Like you couldn't go to any other place. But it just became home. There was absolutely no expectations. I did have, I guess, some level of anxiety or anxiousness about being in the city of Detroit for some time, just because, like Mamba said, the PR game was not that good. But also, I think our communities really, really bought into this idea that Detroit is a dangerous city. You should not be in Detroit. Don't do nothing. But yet, our salons are in Detroit, so you're comfortable going to braid hair in Detroit. You're comfortable to have the African market and go shop and go back home to Southfield or Farmington Hills. But there was always this idea that once you have a little money, you are moving to, a little farther away from the main city. And it wasn't really until I, started my own family and started community organizing that I really started pushing myself against some of those discomforts. And it took a lot of work personally to be able to say, you know what, it's okay. It's not necessarily the city of Detroit that's the problem. It's our own construct and how we think about things that is the issue here. Because if I am able to find community and family in the city of Detroit, then that's where I am. I'm more comfortable being in community with people that look like me than staying in the middle of people who still give me anxiousness. But I should just carry on as this idea of that means I am better off or I'm getting up there in terms of, making money or living a boss life. So, yeah.
Okay, thanks. Now, I grew up in Kingston, Jamaica, downtown Kingston, and we always saw on TV how great and fantastic the United States is. Land of milk and honey, everything is fabulous, everybody's equal, you're gonna come here, get a job, you're gonna make some money, and everything is gonna be hunky-dory, right? So I came here with an American dream. I'm not sure what I was dreaming of, but I knew I wanted to be where the milk and the honey was flowing, and I can buy whatever I want. I can get this house with a white picket fence with a 2.5 kids. I only ended up with 2. I'm not sure what happened to the 0.5, and then have a car and, buy whatever I want and so on. So, as regards your concept of what your American dream is, what role has Michigan played in it so far? And anybody can go first.
For me, again, it was just a regular dream for me. It was no American dream. As a little girl, all I dreamt about was being in service to my community. And I only saw myself helping people, whether that was in the medical field or at some capacity in the community. Later on in college, and I started learning more about this so-called American dream, but it never really appealed to me, honestly. because I'm a child of the community. I grew up in community. I grew up in hospitals. You know, I've always had a father bring your daughter day to work because I was always next to my father in the hospital, to the point when he's prescribing medicine, he writes the prescriptions. You know, they will normally like give you a package in like a little Ziploc bag, and they'll put like take one in the morning, one in the evening, and one at night or something. And he would just tell me, and I'll just pass it on to the person. And like I was a little assistant. And so it was never really this American dream for me. It was just where I can find comfort in community with people that look like me, and I'll be okay. Because the rest of it, I know that it's the saying of Ubuntu. So as long as I'm in community, I know that I'll be fine. I know my children will be raised well because I can create my own village around my children. They can help me raise my children, you know, people that have similar values and dreams as myself. Long as we align in that way, I am more comfortable also pursuing my dreams, whether it's in America or in Gambia or anywhere else in the world.
Well, evidently you're not from the Caribbean or Jamaica, because that's what we saw on TV all day long. Maybe because we're part of the same continent. You know, you always saw America as this big thing. Everybody wants to go to foreign or go abroad. That's what we say, right? So I'm gonna have Gracie take it next because at least we're close to each other on the map.
I never had an American dream in the sense of when I came here, I came extremely young. So like mom saying, it wasn't a choice for me. I thought I was going on vacation. You know, I dressed beautifully in all my white. And when I got off the plane, you know, I said bye to my 10 brothers and sisters, thinking, oh, I'm just going away for vacation and I will be back, right? Not unbeknownst to me that it was forever. So, and so I tell people, hey, there were the realities that came into existence as I grew older. I did not know I was Black. And that's not to say a derogatory, because I think sometimes when African Americans hear that or other folks hear it, they think it's something bad. I know, I'm just saying as a perspective of someone who comes from another country, that you are identified by your family name, the neighborhood you are from, what language you speak, what school you went to. Where here, the reality becomes you're only identified by your color, and then the assumption that because you're a certain color, then everything negative is applied to you. That is a reality that was not part of my construct, from which I came from. So that is something about being in America, that is a challenge for a person of color, is that new reality that you're put in a box and you're othered. But then also knowing, being conscious and very aware now of my then reality and this reality, there were a lot of opportunities that were afforded for me, my family, my siblings coming to America. So I know there are things that I have, opportunities that I have that I may have not had if we had remained at home. So you struggle with that dichotomy of those two realities, right? You do come, quote unquote, to the land of milk and honey, which you soon find out you have to work every day for it. Whereas when you are in your home country, it's a balance of having leisure time, enjoying the community life, and also working and building opportunities for your family. So the biggest challenge for me in America is more of that, of your Black identity and what the negative that's applied to it. But I will say, whether it was the United States or going abroad, did open an opportunity for me and my family that probably we couldn't have afforded if we had remained.
Great point. Mamba, you want to close us out on that question?
Yeah, absolutely. I think I'm a little bit close to what Gracie just said. For me, I would say there is an American dream in Michigan and Detroit. I believe in it. It's only how it's called. I wish someone told me there is an American dream, but this is what you have to go through. So sometimes I think we came in this perspective, oh, there is an American dream. You think, like, as you say, Sophia, you're gonna grab it. No, there is an American dream. It's there. It's so for me, I always tell people what's people here see as a basic, it's a luxury for me growing up back home. So for me, that's already my American dream. My American dream was to come to America. I can have an asylum. I can have a passport, so I can be free to travel. So I don't have to apply on a visa everywhere. That's my American dream. I think it's depend on each and everyone's American dream. And the good thing about this country can give it to you. You have to go and find it. So it's like it's the only way to understand how to get where you have, well, what is your American dream? I would say for me, it's my American dream because what I came here with my dreams or to be with my kid, to join my family, and to have asylum. That's all. Other than that, everything is a bonus. I believe there is an American dream, especially in Michigan, in Detroit, because of cost of living that we still have. I hear every time people say New York, people who went from New York, they can't even live in New York. But at least today we can even open business in Detroit and we can grow in Detroit. That's happened only here in Detroit. So I'm grateful. And then I always advocate that the American dream is still alive in Detroit, in Michigan.
Great response. Thank you. So, Gracie, I'm going to start this one with you. Tell us about some of your interactions with other local immigrants in Michigan and the U.S. community. How has that been for you? Finding your place, interacting with other immigrant communities here and the U.S. community.
Okay, I would say for me, it's been wonderful. I am a child of the world. I'm a global citizen, but I think it's also the path and the trajectory of my life in the U.S. I started in Miami, and in that space, I'm Haitian, but you're very much considered African American at that time in the 80s, and then moving to places like Atlanta, and then of course New York, where it's a melting pot, literally, of people that look like you, but then you meeting your Jamaican, your Trini, and then coming to Michigan. What was surprised me when I came to Michigan, it is how global Michigan is. I don't think that is showcased enough. You hear about New York, you hear about LA and Miami, but you don't hear about Detroit or Michigan. And to find out that here has the largest Muslim or Arab population in the Middle East, to learn of the history of Caribbean folks in Michigan, in Detroit, and that you're meeting a plethora of people. And I had the privilege with the work that I did at Global Detroit and do now to be working in predominantly immigrant communities. So I have the opportunity to serve people of other cultures than myself, and learning that we all have more in common than we are different. It's just finding that tool or that thing that allow us to bridge that gap. I have the privilege of being an artist. So in my world, I know we can get folks together in communal spaces through art, music, food, and dance. And so being able to use those creative outlets to make connection with people have been a blessing for me, that I can be having tea or eat with my Senegalese brothers and sisters, or I can be playing mass with my Jamaican sister, or I can have a Jewish Passover dinner. And that's through my work, but also through this idea that we all have more in common than we're different. And we have to create an opportunity to actually learn each other and create the spaces, and the artillery and the work that I do in community allows us to do that by creating safe spaces through music, through food, through dance, to allow some of that interaction to happen.
Great response. You want to take it next, Fanta?
Yes. So, and the question was what was my experience?
Your interaction with other local immigrant communities and the native US folks.
So my first community experience really was in high school. Again, going into high school, I was a little fearful, because going from thinking you're just here to visit your father, into now getting registered and going into school, I was a little scared. And walking into the halls of Southfield Lathrop, I was greeted by my Senegalese friends, and I was like, oh, and they're like, I actually met a girl first in the bus who came and sat next to me, and she greeted me, and she's like, where are you from? I said, Gambia. And she said, oh, I'm Gambian. You speak Wolof? I said, yeah. And then she's like, oh, what's your last name? And I told her, and we realized we both speak the same language, and her mom is actually somehow way, way back there, probably an extended family member, right? And that really started getting me more comfortable. Walking into the halls of Lathrop High School it was a privilege I had, because that was my first interaction with so many other children from different African countries. I was able to meet Nigerian children from Uganda, Kenya, right? And then we have the Arabic students in ESL class. And we all look at each other sometimes like, we speak English back home, but we're in the ESL class. We're just going to milk this situation right now and keep getting A's because we already know what you're teaching us, right? But fast forward, I used that experience, and it actually introduced me more to the Senegalese community. And then, of course, I started organizing when I was, I believe, a sophomore in college, and after my first child, because I've always had this yawn to be more involved in the community as I was back home. And so it really was not too hard for me to find where I fit. Once I was able to find Abisa and Abisa's work and its mission and vision, I was hooked. That was it. There was no going back. I knew exactly what I needed to do for this community. And that's what gave me comfort. And that's what really gave me the push, because through that journey, I was also able to meet so many people that taught me so much. And all of those contributed to my growth right now as a mother, as an entrepreneur, and as a community organizer. So it has been really, really amazing. And it has provided me opportunity to serve my communities in different states and meet them where they are in order for me to provide for their needs. And that has really been a wonderful experience.
Talk a little bit, you didn't touch on it much, about the interaction with the actual US community. You talked more about, yeah, just, meeting other immigrants here locally, but what about your interactions with the folks in school?
In school, it was not that much of an interaction, to be honest, because once I was in the ESL classes and have my African community there, really that was it. I really didn't do much, because also when I came into high school, I came straight into 11th grade. I refused to be back to 10th grade because I was like, I have to graduate with my peers in Gambia. I refused for them to graduate before me. That typical immigrant child. I'm like, you're not taking me back. So I fought to be in 11th grade, and because I had to make sure that I graduate at this magna cum laude, that was my goal. I had no extracurricular activities that I was involved in. I was strictly just in the classes that I need to take to make sure that I get at least a 3.5 GPA, which I did. So I was very proud of myself, but it did take away some of the experiences that people really look forward to in high school. Like, I didn't care to go to prom. I didn't care to go to homecoming. It was nothing I even thought about. My father had to make me what about you get a school ring? I'm like, what? So I really didn't. I was just like, no, I just need to get these credits in and make sure that I get, my GPA, and I'll be all good. But working, give me a second, honey. I have main message. Go ask your daddy. Okay. Working with Abisa from the time I was a sophomore in college has really been where I think I had the most interaction. Maybe personally, I did here and there in college meet some people, hang out with them a little bit, but I was never one that have too many friends. I just have limited amount of people that I call friends. So working with Abisa has been what really put me out there on bigger platforms where I'm able to interact more and push myself out of that comfort zone to talk to more people. And it has been great, because now that I live in Detroit, I'm able to just be confident, go around, say hi to my neighbors. This is who I am. I live here with my children. we got to make sure we look out for each other type of stuff. And all of that is because I'm able to now get past those blockages of, oh, Detroit is a dangerous city. Oh, you got to be careful who you befriend in the US and all of that. So
Okay,
that's been my
thanks for
experience.
expanding. That's what I wanted to hear. You touched
Yeah.
right on it. So, Mamba, you want to close us out on that question?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So, I think my interaction was starting from Freedom House. You know, you have all just in one small room, and also that's did open a lot my eyes about, you know, Burundi is a small country with only 10 million population. We all speak Kirundi, French, and Swahili. So literally, we have that kind of we ignore a lot other people because we feel like everything is under, you know, our one roof. So we have a saying, God, we spend the night somewhere else, but we spend the night in Burundi, but because he loves us more than anybody else, you know. So that's his kind of things, like it's just me and my Burundian. But when you come here, you're alone. You kind of like reach out to other people, and then those other people are the one who look out of, you know, they wanna call you, check on you, make sure like you're doing all right. So then that's to change the perspective of others, you know. And now when I'm going back to Burundi, I see people who still have this mindset. I'm like, wait, 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 wait. I used to think this way. So, you know, this has been a great opportunity being in the United States. As Gracie said, I never been proud of being Black as before I came here because everybody around me looked like me. So I never feel like it's something that's special or something that's it's outstanding. But coming to Detroit, I've embraced that. I'm so proud of that. And now I'm talking about these things to my Burundian people like, what's going on? What's wrong with you? So, you know, that is what's how things have changed in to me. So it's like this 10 years has been I've learned a lot, you know, about who I am, being proud of who I am. And yeah, this is something that I never thought about it.
Seeing yourself through a different lens, right? Just
Yes.
by changing location and you know, interacting with others. Would you consider the state of Michigan a welcoming state? If yes, tell me why. And if not, tell me why not.
Yeah, 100%. That's why I'm still here. You know, that's why I'm here. So it is, especially for me, having Freedom House in the state of Michigan. That's for me is a big deal, you know, because you can imagine the organization been there since 1980 and still around more than 46 years. So how many immigrants and people who have gone through this? Are they staying? I don't think they're staying. That's why I say we're not doing a good job to not let them stay here. To keep them here, they could, you know, contribute a lot to the economy. It's an amazing state. Detroit is an amazing city, as I say. It's still affordable. People, the community here is amazing. You know, everybody say hi to each other. You go to other places, you say hi. People are looking at you like, "Are you crazy? Like, do I know?" So here it's a normal thing. So yeah, the answer is yes.
Okay, good. Gracie.
I think it depends on where you are in Michigan. I think Southeast Michigan is extremely welcoming. I think it's because Southeast Michigan has a history of being more global and more welcoming, like Abamba said, of having places like Freedom House, having Southwest Detroit, having Dearborn, and other places where you have receiving communities that have had history of welcoming and the learning curve, right? I think anxiety exists whenever you have a new group showing up to a space, and I want to be very transparent and honest about that. So if you had communities like Hamtramck originally was Polish, and now you're seeing an influx of new, you know, Middle Eastern immigrants, of course, anxiety exists in that. But for the majority of it, it's extremely welcoming. I can't speak for the rest of Michigan because me, myself, I've only really stayed in Southeast Michigan, right? But I've gone places up north where people have actually looked at me like, you know, and I've never, for somebody, I'm very well traveled globally. So that made me a little anxious because I'm from the South. So you would think I would be familiar with that kind of look, but I never felt that way in the South than I felt in certain parts of Michigan. But as a whole, I think Michigan is underestimated. I think, like Mamba said before, I think Michigan needs to do a better job of advertising of all the wealth that Michigan has, from the quality of life, from the green space, from the education, from the opportunities in tech and manufacturing. In that, I worked in the talent space, so we know that folks were coming here to get educated, or the children are getting educated and then they're leaving, right? But yet you can live, work, and have a thriving life in Michigan. So how do we become, has folks who live in Michigan, live in Detroit, become ambassadors to support championing what a wonderful state this is to grow, especially grow your family, grow your career, and have a wonderful life, and still have a piece, I think, of the American dream, because that's becoming very expensive in the United States, and in places like Michigan, it still feels very much obtainable.
Okay. Thank you. I am going to kind of put Fanta on the spot just a little bit, Fanta, because you keep mentioning ABISA, the African Bureau of Immigrant and Social Affairs, Immigration and Social Affairs, right? So we've had a large influx of new Black immigrants in our state. Through the experiences and the conversations that you have had with the immigrants that we're now responsible for making, that are housed, are fed, and their children are educated, would you consider Michigan a welcoming state? Why or why not? So you got to switch hats. Take off the Fanta hat and put on the ABISA hat.
I feel like the ABISA hat is always on and will always be on, to be honest. Because when you look at an organization like ABISA, you can see yourself in it as an immigrant. It doesn't matter what part of the world you're immigrating from, right? Because the work that we do ultimately is the vision of every immigrant person. We are trying to make sure that all of our people have access to the resources that they need to thrive in America in general. But in Michigan, where our work started, I do think, yes, that Michigan is a welcoming city. And like Gracie said, I think Michigan is just very underrated. Before we had the huge influx of folks coming through the border, it was not much of a conversation in our communities of people moving that much into Detroit. I witnessed that first, I want to say in 2013, 14, when the houses were a lot cheaper. People could buy houses for $5,000, $10,000. We had a lot of people moved into Brightmoor from New York. I witnessed that. However, folks that are still in Michigan, that still live in Southfield, Farmington Hills, were still not privy to this, or they were still with the notion of Detroit is dangerous. I think that now what we are seeing is some of the challenges or loopholes or not so perfection of the image that Michigan is a welcoming city, which it is, but there is so much more, because there are things sometimes that work for other immigrant groups that are very hard for our people that look like us to access, and we have to do twice the amount of work to be able to get resources sometimes for our community members. That makes it a little bit harder. However, I think that Michigan's history in being called a welcoming city really traces back to the Underground Railroad. And fast forward now, we are able to have so much rich history in this city alone, in the city of Detroit. And with our newcomers that are coming in, I think it's just going to help to make that image of Michigan being a welcoming city a lot better. because we are contributing in so much more. If we used to do 50%, it's higher now because we have so many people moving into the city. And I actually want to be proud and say that we also have a lot of people moving into the city of Detroit because of Abisa, because they've heard of Abisa's work, because they want to get closer to where Abisa is so they can get the resources, the connections that they need, so they can get quick access to an attorney, or they can get quick access to Sadie and the office when they have issues, so we can help them with navigating that, right? So it does make me happy to think that I am in a state, though I complain about the weather, but I am in a state where we can really choose humanity over our colors sometimes because we're still fighting systems. We're still trying to dismantle some systems right now. But overall, it's been okay. And there's hope that it's going to get better. Inshallah, if more people join hands and actually, one, volunteer for organizations like Abisa, and two, donate to organizations like Abisa, we will be able to make a lot of those impacts and change a lot more people's lives, because we want to see more business owners. We want to see more entrepreneurs. So many of them have skills to offer and come here already certified to do those jobs. So we need to look at so many other various ways to make life easier. And like Gracie said, that American dream in Michigan is more attainable compared to other states. So we need to make that a reality for the folks that are seeking it.
So I have a curious question from one of our guests. She asks, can we think of another state that's more welcoming than Michigan? I just figured I'd throw it in there since we're talking about welcoming. Miss Gracie, this is for you because you done travel the world, live in several cities, several states.
You're trying to set me up. So,
of course.
I think it all depends on the perspective you're looking at. I think I will speak to the Midwest in general.
Mm-hmm.
The Rust Belt states for a long time were considered unwelcoming. I will say that in quote, but we're seeing the move to the Rust Belt states has being more welcoming. And part of it has to do with the fact that of migration of people looking for opportunities. So you're seeing now that we're having welcoming initiatives, like welcoming Michigan, or welcoming St. Louis or other places like Michigan in the Midwest, are definitely being more proactive and intentional to have welcoming initiatives. Whereas prior to this, you would have heard more places like New York, or Miami or California, whereas now you're seeing these cities, like prior to when I came 10 years ago, there was not an Office of Immigrant Affairs. And now there's an Office of Immigrant Affairs.
Absolutely.
There's an immigrant task force. There's this commission, right? So you're seeing that Michigan is putting their, elbow grease and intention to making sure that it is welcoming, right? I can't speak for other places, but I can speak for what I've seen happen in the last 10 years in Michigan, of making sure that there are these institutions, there are these systems in place to support that welcoming initiative.
And to that point, one of the things we need to understand too, and that's because I've traveled down these roads when it comes to the inclusivity that the government of Michigan and the city of Detroit has done over the past 10, 15 years, is to allow, actually, we've been knocking on the doors for a minute and bringing our own chairs to the meetings. We're in that space now, so we can drive that conversation for people to understand that for you to say that you're welcome, and this is what it should look like. One, make sure we're in the room, because you cannot tell us what our needs are until you understand from us what our needs are. So I think that's one of the cool things about living in Michigan and living in the Metro Detroit area, is the diversity in conversations of the people that are in the room making the decisions. Okay. Did you want to add anything to that, Mamba, before we move on?
No, I think I'm good. They did
Okay.
add everything there.
All right. So this is the cool part. We're going to start with Mamba because I remember the first time I saw Mamba do a pop-up as the African American Festival on this was when it was on the museum ground. You had your big pop-up. I think you were close to Cola's tent or whatever. And that was the first time I ever saw and tasted Burundi food. So that being said, tell me some of the fond memories of community cultural events that you have planned or attended.
You know, Sophia, I attend a lot of events. It's hard to remember what.
Some that stick in your mind, some that you say, yes,
Yeah.
this is Michigan. Yes, I feel represented. Yes, this is home.
I would say African World Festival for the first time. I was there and then feeling like this looks like Africa. You know what I'm saying? It's like you walk on that, you know, in front of everybody. They're speaking their languages, different languages in Detroit, and that was the thing. Also, so impressed how, because for the first time I was impressed how Black people in Detroit support those events. You know, they're coming and they support them and they trying to understand, to learn about African culture. I would say like the African World Festival always.
Okay. I'm gonna go with Fanta next. What's going on? Oh,
With the babies.
The babies are going on. African World Festival. When Mamba was saying it, I was like, hands down, that was my first event that I really went to, and I believe I went to it probably about 4 years after my father really didn't know that it was a thing. I found out about it when I was in college. And when I tell you, I could still remember the food. It was at the Hot Plaza at the time before they moved to the museum and now back. I remember the smell, the food, meeting uncles there from New York and actually going back to help them with selling. Because once they saw me, they're like, who's your father? And they're like, oh, okay, you're going to come back tomorrow and help me sell. I was like, say less. I had nothing to do but go to school. So it was just amazing. And since then, every year I look forward to going, and now I look forward to taking my children so they can at least experience some of that culture. I love watching the dances. I don't take part, but I love watching the sabar from start to finish. I'll be there clapping on, and spending a lot of money, honestly. And besides that, of course, Abisa events that we do and hold in the US here that always brings our communities together. One that I organized, my first event that I did with my business, Mani Jannah, last year in Ramadan, which was really nice because it was done with intention to bring different Muslim communities together, to break fast together and learn about each other, do boundaries workshop and connect with each other. And that has really been also a highlight for me in recent years. So
okay. And go ahead, Miss Event Planner Gracie, the artist. You're muted, babe. You're muted.
Oh my God. I had the privilege when I moved here to move to Southwest Detroit. I do not know about anyone else, but for me, it starts with the food. I have to be able to have the spices that I needed to cook and make foods that I'm familiar with. I still need that taste of home no matter where I am. And so I was fortunate enough to move into Southwest Detroit, not knowing anywhere where I am compared to anything else. But I lived down the street from Honeybee and cafe con leche and all of the, like, literally walking distance. And that helped me. I would say that was before any major big event. I would say the fact that there were local shops, mom and pop shops and supermarkets, the Macada down the street, that I can find products that were close to my Caribbean, you know, like Grace jerk, you know, my little Goya carnation milk and all of those things really kind of, okay, I'm going to be okay here. If I was not able to be able to cook my own food or using my own spices, I think that would have been a challenge for me, because I think that's always important for anyone is having a sense of yourself and being able to find those things. But then from that there on, you know, there's right in front of my house was, you know, the carnivals walk in front of my house. But it was, I would say Decalabash was one of the events we organized here because I wanted to organize an ethnic food festival. So that was very important. Concert of Colors, because I know so many people who've been in Detroit forever didn't realize this existed, which was a shock for me. But what I loved about Concert of Colors, and I think Fanta speak to that, is that's the first organization that actually brought a Haitian group. So they brought Ram from Haiti, and it was like, oh my God, a real taste of home. And of course, the Africa World Fest, because I was able to meet my tailor, my actual tailor for back in the day in Brooklyn, was in the plaza selling clothes. So I think having all these little bits, and it's not only for the Caribbean culture, and of course the Haitian Network of Detroit doing their biannual festival was very giving us this kind of taste at home. But not only the taste at home, being able to share your culture and give others experience to witness your culture and make that cross-culture connection. Like while you're sharing your culture, you find out they use the same spices, or like for us, oh, we're Catholic, or you have carnival, we have carnival. So finding these common grounds, I think that's what cultural events, food, music, dance does. It creates, like I said, a very safe place to have some kind of a diplomacy of learning each other. So to me, the more the merrier. I like going to all of them, those within my culture or outside of my culture, because that helps me learn about others and also enjoy the beautiful global space that is Michigan, that is Detroit.
So one of the, thanks, Gracie. One of the things that I'm noticing in the chat, one of our guests mentioned, you know, it's so interesting how we as immigrants coming to a space, own that space and bring our own stuff, and then everybody wants to be a part of it, right? Because it's so cool. So there's a Kroger Marketplace on 18 Mile in Sterling Heights that now has a Caribbean spice section in the store. So if you're looking for Caribbean food, go to Kroger's, or you can go to Comfort African and Caribbean grocery store in Southfield, right, Fanta?
Yes, ma'am.
So you can find a little bit of home right here in Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
Now I want you guys to put your dream hats on. I want you to tell me about your hopes and dreams for the immigrant community here in Michigan. And not only are you going to dream it, you're going to manifest it because you're going to do the work. So tell me what your hopes and dreams are, and what are you doing towards making those dreams come true. And I'm going to start with Mamba because he's got a new restaurant opening up.
Absolutely. I feel like it's exactly that, intentionally growing in Detroit as a Baobab Fare, Waka, and Soko. So by next year, we're going to have three restaurants and in the market. And then bringing that here to Detroit is because when I came 10 years ago, our presence was there, but we didn't have infrastructure. And then what Abisa is trying to do, what Grace is trying to do, what we're trying to do is like to bring that infrastructure here. So then all these people that transit here don't have to go, they have to stay. If they see these examples, if we can provide them jobs, by next year, we're going to have more than 150, job, on our payroll, and 75% is always immigrants. That is why we are staying here, so we can keep people here and we can help to bring this. So someone who's coming 10 years after now, they can feel it's home, so they don't have to go somewhere else. So one of the things that I always love and why I'm doing what I'm doing was try to create my own platform so then I can fix everything that I've been complaining about. So if I complain about something, I have to create a solution. And this is one of the solutions, because you complain, we don't want to keep complaining. As it says, manifesting is this way. How do you manifesting is to fix that problem by doing action.
Fantastic. And his food is amazing. If you've never been to his restaurant, you need to come to Midtown just to go to his restaurant. And you have to go on off time, because sometimes you go there, you can't get no seats. And I'm not giving you his contact information. You're just gonna have to go to the restaurant. You're not messing up my deal. Fanta, you can go next.
Absolutely. I definitely agree with Mamba. It's not just about complaining and picking out the problems in the systems. It's actually also just putting your boots on and getting to ground to create some of those solutions instead of waiting for someone to create a solution for you. And I feel like the work has been happening, and it is happening more now on a bigger scale. My dream really would be to have all of our folks that are incarcerated simply just because you are an immigrant, simply because you decided to go seek a better life for yourself, for your family elsewhere, and looking for greener pastures, or what they thought is greener pastures, right? Because some of that is met with so much cruelty and brutality that some people actually decide to go back home. It's like America is not what I think it was or what I thought it was. But to have people incarcerated for months and years at a time with hefty bills that we have to fight to post just so they can come out, and the fight still continues for so many years. I would love to see those systems dismantled. The work is going on, but there's so much more to do. And it's a very, very, very heavy lift. And I understand not everybody can do that or handle that work, but when we all play our parts in supporting those organizations, if you're not able to physically accompany somebody to an ICE check-in, or you're not able to volunteer time to be in the offices of these immigrant advocacy organizations, maybe it's a matter of giving $25 a month. Maybe it's just $5 a month. Those are all things that make impact, because all that money can go towards giving somebody a better future and helping them achieve that American dream, or at least get close to what their version of that American dream is. So that's what I would like to see right now.
Okay, thank you. Gracie?
I think Fanta and Mamba said it best. Is we all can't solve everything. I think let's be honest about that, right? Because it's a big pie to chew, but I think it's choose your lane, choose your focus, and focus on that. And I think if we take actions collectively, we will make a dent. And so for me, in this space, I like Global Detroit used to use that word, but I think we all coined it, is this idea of a trusted connector. Is the idea when folks are coming in that sometimes they don't know where to go, how to get things done. They have good intentions, but they have to navigate a new land field that they don't know. And so serving in that role as somebody who helps people connect to the resources that will help them with establishing their lives in this space is important to me. And I think we all can serve that role in some way, shape, or form. And so for me, I focus on women. How do I help immigrant women connect to the resources so that they can be that market woman. Because for me, I always remember that market woman at home in Haiti. The market woman fed the whole family, right? Because and so yeah, I always remember the quote from Carter G. Woodson of the spark of genius. Not all of us may necessarily go to college and get a 4-year degree. That may not be worth it anymore, but we all do have an innate talent. And if we can cultivate that talent, it can create opportunities for us and our families. And that's where I sit as an artist, as a social worker, as an immigrant woman myself, is how can I support that in helping women to cultivate the opportunities for themselves through talents and that they already have within them, because sometimes it's opportunity, meeting that opportunity, right? And so how can I help them identify that opportunity, identify that resource so they can multiply what's already within their bag to really thrive? Then that would help support and create opportunities for themselves and their family and the next person that they're able to pass it forward to.
Okay, great. Thank you. So just a couple, another question actually, and then we can start wrapping up. This is the chance for you to, in Jamaica, we said, big up yourself. I want you to tell them how they can reach you, how they can support you, and any event that you're coming up, that you have coming up that you want them to support. So we start with Mamba. I know Mamba mentioned the football club too, the soccer thing that you do, that stuff down there with the food truck and all of that. So tell people how they can come out and support you, your website, your location, and tell them that Nadia does all the cooking. You're just the pretty face in the restaurant. But go ahead.
Yeah, my job is just talking. What my kid says, like, my job is that talking and remind us and reminding everyone that we have an amazing opportunity and, culture here. That's what we're doing, all of us, Gracie, Fanta. So if you can check who we are and us at baobabfare.com, that would be great. And Waka, if you see yellow food truck, Waka, so just go and get, chapati. Again, stop by at Baobab Fare, enjoy the meal. That would be amazing. Mostly, before anything, I'll say support Freedom House because that's very, very important, even than anything that's Baobab Fare, Waka, or anything. So Freedom House is very, very close to my heart, and they're going through a lot of hard time right now, same as Abisa. So those are my favorite two organizations that you can support. Go check them, help them. If you help them, you're gonna be helping me.
Thank you. Fanta?
Thank you for the shout out, Mamba. I love the food, by the way. Oh my goodness, he has a delicious avocado dessert that I keep craving, especially with my last pregnancy. I was always there trying to find it, and I was so sad on Tuesdays when you were not open. But so I have 3 asks. Okay, the first one will have to be Abisa, www.abisa.org. Please visit the website. We have pledge going on right now. You can take a pledge. You can find a way to support the community and support Abisa's work. We're always looking for volunteers, so you can always come to the office and volunteer with us, even if it's a day. Trust me, it really helps. Or you can donate. Anything you have, it's okay. We can take it and we can make do with it, because every penny counts right now. And my second ask will be to also visit greaterdetroitcleaning.com. I have a cleaning company here in Detroit, and I offer commercial service, and I do also home cleanings, but mostly commercial services. So you can find us on Google and check out our website if you want to book for your cleaning. We'll be there. My third ask is Mani Janda, which is my newest baby. Okay, I'm getting hang of this entrepreneur stuff. My newest baby is Mani Jannah, MAANIJANNAH. Mani Jana is my retail Muslim clothing business. Hopefully very soon we'll be open in Detroit, but right now we are doing online, and our home is open to folks in the community if they want to come drink some tea with us, try on some clothes. But we are also just trying to really work with our local incomers that are doing some level of sewing and helping them build themselves or their skills in that way. We have a Muslim marketplace that's coming up August 16th and 17th. And that will be in Dearborn, inshallah. So it will be posted on all of our social medias. You can come out and support us in that way too.
Thank you. And Gracie?
Hi, thank you. Yeah, I the other day I was with Sadie, and then she had a situation that happened, and I remember being a social worker, and I was an investigator, and I mean, there are people that were made to do this job, and Sadie and Abisa are those warriors in the front line doing the work. So I would say, if we have to say who we would support or make sure you support, is definitely Abisa, because I don't know if I could have the stamina, endurance, and will and Shiro strength that Sadie and Abisa have. They are our front line in this work. So definitely send love, support, volunteer, donation, all of that to Abisa. I've worked with Abisa for now going on 5-6 years, Sadie. She can't get rid of me. So what we focus on in our work together is supporting the immigrant women at the artillery that's looking to cultivate their sewing skills for opportunities. So we have some great opportunities coming up. We're in our 2-year, so we're officially growing up. So check out the artillery, ARTILLER.org. We have some exciting things coming. So our program is going to be changing to a paid and earned training program. So we will be sending you all information. So if you have anyone in your pipeline that's needing that opportunity to come and train with us. And we also are starting our Wool Ventures program on Monday. You all should be receiving is training our first cohort of immigrant women that have textiles or accessory businesses that they want to start in combination with Prosperous, and so we're going to support them in helping them move from ideation to launch. So we do have a great event coming up celebrating our 2-year anniversary, which is a sip and sew on August 2nd, ladies. So if you are around, please come out and support and learn more about us and share and break bread with our community of ladies. Thank you for the opportunity, Sophia.
How do they reach you? Did you say the website or?
Theartillery.org, DARTILLERY.org.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you guys so much for showing up today. I want to let you know how much you are loved and appreciated, for one. For two, just everybody that attended this event. It means a lot to us. This again is presented by the Black Leadership Advisory Council. We serve at the pleasure of the governor of the great state of Michigan. My name is Sophia Chu. I happen to be the committee lead for the African Diaspora Committee. My hope and dream for us as Black people, as Michiganders, as immigrants, is for us to continue to collaborate, to share with each other, to hold space for each other, and to celebrate our existence, right? Because we all came from Africa, and we're here everywhere in the world, and we all continue to be Africans. So I ask again for you to continue to support each other, for you to take each other in the rooms with you, and for you to participate in cultural sensitivity training. So when you are talking about a group or a set of people, you are being honest by leaving your biases at the door. So again, thank you so much for your time and your attention. I am going to have this video actually posted on YouTube, and I'll let you guys know when it is available. I want to thank Alexis Dye with the council for helping us with the marketing and the pulling together of this great event. And I'm hoping that we will be able to have another one and share. And we also have one of our co-chairs available in the meeting today, Miss Donna Bell. We have Sadie, the wonderful, illustrious Sadie Sarr, Dr. Sadie Sarr with the African Bureau of Immigrant and Social Affairs. She's the one that opened the door and let me into the room of the council. And we're continuing to bring in each other into other spaces. So again, host space for your community members. And remember that you are loved and you are cherished. So until next time, peace.
Thank you.
Wait, Sophia.
Yes?
Sophia, are you going to share the links for the organizations from today?
Yes, I can.
Okay.
Yes, I
Okay.
can.
Thank you. Because at least that way we can share it with others in our network.
Oh, absolutely. So what I can do is when I do the YouTube video too, I'll also add the links in there and then I'll send it to our committee so you have all the information.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
All right, you guys take it easy.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.